Hi everyone, I'm a 3D motion design freelancer, and in each one of these videos I'm going to go over a new 3D modeling tool. Today's 3D modeling tool is Extrude, so let's get into how to use Extrude inside of Cinema 4D. Here we are inside of Cinema 4D. You can see that I created 3 spheres. You can make your own sphere in here if you'd like by selecting this and then hitting the editable button so that we can actually change the sphere's geometry. And I am also in garage shading mode. So let's first start off with changing this sphere. I'm going to go into point mode, as you can see up here. And with all of these points selected, and I had selected them with the rectangle selection. So now we have them all selected and we're in point mode. Now I can use the hotkey MT in order to open up the extrude tool, which now we can see within our attribute manager. And there's a few ways you can activate this tool. You can drag in your viewport in order to activate it, and now we're extruding each one of those points. I'm going to hit undo, or I could click new transform and it will apply that extrusion to these points. I'm going to hit undo again and just drag in the viewport to create the extrusion, and you can see that this is adjusting the offset as I drag my mouse. I can choose an offset amount. I'll go for about 10 inches here. And if you'd like all of these points to be extruded a different amount and to add some variation to that offset, that's what this next setting is offset variation. And now that we're doing that, you can see that these are all extruded a different amount, and we've randomized that. The next option up is subdivision. So right now you can see we have 4 subdivisions. If I take this down where we have 0, this is what 0 subdivisions look like. So it's basically just adding more segments to that geometry. And you can see what this looks like when we do that. We have some options unique to being in point mode. As you can see, we are in up here. We can adjust the bevel here, the bevel size. I think it will be easier to see what this setting does if I remove the offset variation completely and just the subdivisions for right now. And now I'll adjust the bevel again. So it is adjusting the base of these extrusions. You can think of it that way. You can also adjust the bevel variation. So I'll drag this up and you can see they all don't have the same size base, all of these extrusions. You can reduce it so that they all have the same bevel variation, which means they have none, we're at 0%, or we can increase it and they'll each be different. So that is how you adjust the extrusion for points. And that'll give you a pretty good idea. This down here, real-time update, it just means as you're updating your extrusion with these settings, you'll see it change in real time. I keep that turned on all the time. No reason to turn that off, really. And now we're on to our next sphere, and we're going to change from point mode to edge mode because we'll have some slightly different options in our extrude tool in edge mode. So I'll go ahead and click on my next sphere and choose some edges. I want to select this group right here. And then I'm going to use the hotkey MT once again to open up our extrude tool, and now that we have our extrude tool open, we can once again drag in our viewport in order to extrude this. And this is how it looks when you don't have preserve groups on. You can see that all of our edges are apart from one another. They are not connected as we extrude these edges. I'm going to hit undo. I'd also like to deselect these polygons on the back actually. And you can do that by holding down Control and selecting these. Okay, so now we only have these selected, and I'm going to use MT again to open up the extrude tool. I'm going to turn on preserve groups, and now when we extrude, you can see that these are all connected at those points. So it looks a little bit different. For right now, I'm going to leave preserve groups off. And similar to our points, you can adjust the offset here. You can also adjust the offset variation. So when we add some variation, it looks a little bit different. You can see they're all extruding different amounts, which is really interesting. And subdivisions. So when we increase the number of subdivisions, each one of our extrusions is getting divided into more segments, as you can see here. And now you can see that our options for edges are no longer grayed out in the extrude tool because we are in edge mode, and we can do some fun things with this. This may be easier to show on one edge what this does. So for right now, I'm going to select a new edge, hit new transform. So I've extruded this edge, and now I can adjust its rotation, and that's adjusting the angle at which this is extruding. And we have a lot of control over it through those options there. Very powerful tool. The third way to control the extrude tool is polygon mode. And this one's really fun. So I'm going to move on to my next sphere. And we're going to go into polygon mode. And I'm going to select all these polygons. And just so that you know when you're selecting, you'll notice you have these options with the rectangle selection of visible only on, or having that off. So since it's off, when I select this, I select all of the polygons, whether or not if I can see them through my camera. If I turn on visible only and try to select this whole sphere, it only selected the ones I could see with my camera. For the purposes of this, I want to select all of them, whether or not if my camera can see it. So I have all of these selected in edge mode, in polygon mode, and I'll hit MT to pull open the extrude tool. We can adjust the offset in here. I'm going to drag these in my viewport, and it works very similar to the other extrudes in edge mode and point mode. I'm going to set these both to 0 for right now just to show you what this does. So the offset, you can adjust this by dragging this handle here or typing in a specific amount into here. And that will adjust the amount of offset. These are being extruded. You can adjust the offset variation, which is this handle here. You're already familiar with that from the other ones we've done. You can also adjust the number of subdivisions. And you can see that when we turn this on, it's adding geometry or segments to each extrusion, which is really powerful. I'm just going to re-extrude this for a second because I'd like to show you something else, but from the inside of the sphere. So I'm going to move inside of here, and this is what the inside of the sphere looks like right now if we have create caps turned off. If we check this on, it will cap the start of each extrusion, and I usually leave it off because I don't usually need that, but it's just good for you to understand what that does. Create caps will close all of these polygons at the start of the extrusion. That basically covers polygons. There's one more thing that I'd like to show you. So I think I will actually drop in one more sphere. Make it editable. Select all the polygons, hit empty to bring up our extrude tool once again. And this time I'm going to turn on, maybe I'll only select a few of these. I'll select those, go back into our tool, turn on preserve groups, and extrude them. So when you have preserve groups on, instead of just extruding each individual polygon, you extrude them as a group. And I hope you found this tutorial helpful on how to use the extrude tool. And I hope you have a great time 3D modeling. I'd love to see what you create. And please feel welcome to reach out with any questions. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit like and subscribe to see more 3D modeling tools. And I'll see you next time.